Okay, back at it again. As you can see from the giant mess that I have, things have gone awry a little bit, but I recovered. So I learned a couple things, forgot a couple things, but number one is I didn't have the steering shaft all the way up into the column. So if you can see here, that steering shaft, this is the steering shaft bearing. Steering shaft bearing has a retaining clip that goes onto this surface. So when you insert the steering shaft up through the bearing, you have to press it here all the way down till the bottom of the bearing hits this retaining clip, and then you install the second retaining clip onto this groove. So that messed up my measurements a little bit, and I ended up having to make a couple of adjustments. So I extended the shaft out just a little bit, and because if you don't get the shaft length correctly, when you go to put the hub, to tie your hub down onto the column on over the shaft where it goes, it's not going to work. It's going to be pulling on the joints and everything. So I think I've got it right. The other thing I've learned, in the first part, I custom fabricated this piece that goes up in here. If I can move that. The whole thing with the washers and everything, probably not necessary. I mean, it'll give you a little bit more reinforcement, but what I've missed is these two, let's get some more light on there. These two screws here and here, they are square nuts on the other end, and they go into the grooves on this lower portion of the column. So there's two slots on the lower portion of that column, and these two bolt nut assemblies, and they have square heads on them to catch into those slots, and that's what locks the shaft, this lower portion of the column to this upper portion of the column. So that's what locks everything in. And then when you put the steering shaft comes up through here. You put that second retaining clip over it, and then you put this surface down, and this piece here also kind of locks everything together. So it helps keep the bearing in place, keeps the steering shaft in place, and everything's good. So I've made a lot of progress. I've just got to assemble it. I had to lower my collar a little bit to give me a little bit more room, and I needed to raise the steering shaft up further into the column to get it into the right spot. So be mindful of that. Next stuff we're going to do is start getting it put up into the car.